Hello, this video is about the third house. As you can see on the screen, the number 3 is mentioned here as a third house. However, this chart is just showing number 3 as a third house. Not necessarily every person's chart will look like this, because every individual's ascendant will be different, and this chart can relate more to people with the Aries ascendant. But since number 3 is ruled by Mercury, I have shown it as green, and it is the natural ruler of the third house, so I have put in number 3 here. But like I said, not everybody's third house will have number 3 written on it, because not everybody will be an Aries ascendant like it is shown in this chart. So today we are going to be talking about the third house, and of course we will not be talking about the third zodiac, which is Gemini. We are not talking about Gemini, we're just talking about the third house. The third house represents your desires or your ambitions. You can figure out by the planet or the zodiac which influences the third house how ambitious a person will be, and what will that person do to convert his ambitions and desires into reality. For example, if Mars is influencing the third house, then of course we know that the person will go all the way, because Mars is a planet of ambition, of aggressiveness, and fulfillment of desires through putting in a lot of energy, so on and so forth. Similarly, if Jupiter, and more so a zodiac sign of Pisces, which is extremely sattvic, is influencing the third house, or is actually representing the third house, or if Jupiter is aspecting it, we know that the person's route to fulfillment of his desires will be a little sattvic, a little calm. It wouldn't be crazy ambition, it will be a balanced sattvic approach. So yes, this house represents ambitions, desires, and we can figure out the person's impulses and his ideas of fulfillment of his desires through the planets or the zodiac influencing the third house. Also, the third house shows brothers and sisters or co-borns, and in this case it's mainly younger co-borns, younger brothers and sisters. The older brothers and sisters are looked through the 11th house, so the younger brothers and sisters are shown through the third house. And also it is a house of communications, and more so it makes a lot of sense because third house is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is the natural ruler of the third house, because the natural zodiac sign becomes Gemini, and Mercury is very closely associated with communications, so it does have, the third house does have a connection with communications. So we can figure out how communicative that person is, how does he like to communicate, based on what zodiac is represented in the third house, or what planets are influencing the third house. Also, since the third house is a house of communications and even expression, the media, yes, because media is all about communications, and the internet is all about communication. That also is reflected through this third house. How does a person communicate? Is it mass communication? How does he express? Internet is worldwide, so of course in an individual's chart, when we do a reading, we'll be able to figure out how communicative that person is, and what planet and what zodiac is influencing his power of communications. Now, the third house, as far as the body part is concerned, it represents the upper limbs and the arms, and not the lower arms. It's basically the shoulder and the upper arms and the upper chest. Well, not exactly upper chest, because chest is more connected with the fourth house. So the third house would be an upper chest, meaning towards the shoulders and towards the lower portion of the neck, I would say. That would be more representative of the third house. Now, sage Parashara also has expressed his ideas about the third house in his teaching and his books. He has mentioned that in case the third house be associated with a benefic, either through the zodiac sign represented by it, or if it is aspected by a benefic, or a benefic is sitting there, the person will have co-borns. Yes, he will not be lonely, he won't be alone, he will have brothers and sisters, and also will be courageous. So Sage Parashara very clearly mentions that an influence of a benefic like a Venus or a Moon or a Jupiter will give good effects to the third house in terms of the person being courageous and having brothers and sisters, and more so younger brothers, like we have discussed a moment ago, that the third house is more connected with younger brothers and sisters. Parashara also says that if the third lord along with Mars aspects the third house, the native will enjoy good results. That individual will have good results. Or alternatively, if these two planets would be in the third itself, it will be very good. Meaning that if third lord is sitting with Mars in the third itself, it is good. So indirectly, Sage Parashara is hinting that Mars placement in the third house is very good. So you will see that in various charts when you do a chart reading, that people who have Mars in the third house, they have good effects, good results. And also, if the third lord is sitting with Mars as well, then of course it's even better. And we know that Mars is a malefic. So first, Sage Parashara says that okay, the influence of a benefic would be very good for the third house, and then he goes on to explain that the third house lord along with Mars, if it aspects the third house or if it's sitting in the third house, that will be good itself. A little contradictory. Well, benefic is good and malefic is good, and he says both will be good. So we're going to believe him, because whatever Parashara has said comes out and makes a lot of sense if we do a research and we study the charts. And that has been confirmed by hundreds of astrologers of the modern day times who are into Vedic astrology. And once you start doing the reading yourself, you will realize how important and how accurate Parashara's teachings are. Now, Parashara also says that if the third lord is a female planet, and we've discussed about female planets, the female planets are Venus, Moon. These are female planets. In case the third lord is a female planet, or if the third house is occupied by female planets, one will have sisters born after him. So since the third house is representative of the younger brothers and sisters, so he has made it very clear that if it's a female planet, sitting in the third house, you will have a sister born after that individual, or if the lord of the third house is a female planet, one will have sisters. Similarly, he has said that in case a male planet is sitting in the third house, the person will have younger male brothers, male co-borns. And if the third house is a male Rashi or a zodiac sign, or the ruler of that Rashi is a male planet, in other words, like for example, if it's a Scorpio and it's ruled by, we know that Scorpio is ruled by Mars, so it becomes a male Rashi or a zodiac, a male zodiac, then it says that there's a good possibility, or according to him, he doesn't even use the word possibility. He says very clearly that person will have younger brothers. Now he also says that in case it's a mixed nature, meaning that there's an influence of female planets on the third house, or a female zodiac on a third house, or if there's an influence of either female, or if there's an influence of either male planets or male zodiacs in the third house, so it becomes a mixed nature, both female and male. So the co-borns or younger co-borns will be of both the sexes. So there's a chance that that person will have brothers and sisters younger to him, both, and that will be declared or will be seen after seeing the strength and the weaknesses of those zodiac signs and the planets. Which planet is influencing more, like a male planet or a male zodiac is influencing more, or a female planet or a female zodiac is influencing more. So that we'll have to determine and see how many brothers, or if at all how many sisters, so on and so forth. Also, Sage Parashara explains another yoga related to the third house. He says, if the third house lord and Mars are sitting together in the 8th house, there will be a destruction of co-born. So he says that if Mars is also sitting in the 8th house and the third lord is sitting in the 8th house together, co-borns will be destroyed. Now he doesn't explain whether the co-borns will be destroyed after a certain period of time, or immediately, or when, because the third house obviously is more related to the younger co-borns. He has not explained that, but he has just said that if the third lord and the Mars be together in the 8th house, there will be a destruction of brothers and sisters. So it's risky. It's a very, very dangerous combination for brothers and sisters in somebody's chart. Then Sage Parashara says that if moon is placed in the third house all by itself without any other planet, and it has an aspect of male planets, then there will be younger brothers. And in case the aspect of the moon, which is sitting in the third house as a single planet, if that aspect is by Venus, that means that person will have younger sisters. So very clearly Parashara is talking about the third house as younger brothers and sisters, and he's saying that if there's an influence of male planets or male zodiacs, it'll be younger brothers. If there's an influence of female planets and female zodiacs, then there will be younger sisters. So he is very clear on this. Now, as a very interesting combination he is describing here, he's saying that if Sun occupies, the planet Sun occupies the third house, it will destroy the preborn, meaning that the older sibling is going to be destroyed. Now it could be seen in two ways. Either there won't be an older pre-born. If this chart, if you come across this chart, either he will say, well, I'm the oldest, I didn't have any older brother or pre-born, or this combination can be described as saying after this person's birth, the older co-born or the older brother or sister will be destroyed. So it could be interpreted both. And then he goes on to explain that the afterborn will be destroyed if Saturn is sitting in the third house. So the younger brothers and sisters will be destroyed if Saturn is sitting in the third house. So we're trying to think here that, do you think that in anybody's birth chart, if Saturn is in the third house, either he will have no younger brothers or sisters, or if he has brothers and sisters who are younger to him, they will be destroyed? That's a point to ponder, and that's something which we have to study in the birth charts, or in the Vedic birth charts, when we go ahead and study those. So a very important combination which Parashara has claimed, and we have to see how strong and how accurate is this claim. Anybody whose third house has Saturn there, will he have younger brothers or sisters or no? We have to figure that out, and once we do case studies, we'll come across several charts which will explain this. Similarly, Sage Parashara has said that in case it's not Saturn, in case if Mars is sitting in the third house, it will destroy both the preborn or the older brothers and sisters, and the later born and the younger brothers and sisters as well. So now we'll have to study a chart and see, well, if Mars is sitting in the third house, does that mean that that person does not have an older brother or sister, or he does not also have a younger sibling? So according to Parashara, if Mars is sitting in the third house, either there will be no older sibling or younger sibling, or in case that person has older sibling and younger sibling, they will be destroyed. So that's something which we have to find out from charts once we start doing the charts. One of the charts which comes to my mind as we are speaking is the chart of the Vedic chart of Jawaharlal Nehru. He was the Prime Minister of India in the 50s and the 60s, 1950s, 60s, somewhere around that. Much before than we probably were born, but that chart has Mars in the third house. If you see and study Jawaharlal Nehru, who was the ex-Prime Minister of India's chart, you will see Mars sitting in the third house. And this comes to my mind right now as we speak here, that yes, he was the only child, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to check on that. But yes, we'll have to figure out, and we'll have to see whether this claim by Parashara is accurate or not. So friends, this ends our discussion on the third house in detail, and we will discuss another topic in our future video.